What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're taking a look at another season review, and today we're taking a look at The Dragon Prince. However, we are not taking a look at Season 1, 2, or 3. We are taking a look at Season 4, taking a look at Season 5 tomorrow, and 6 the day after that, because I have recently watched Season 4, 5, and 6, and Season 4 does have 9 episodes, all at roughly around half an hour each, so you can watch this in roughly like 3.5 hours, like maybe 4 hours, depending on like how fast you watch them and if you skip the intro or not. So basically, 4 hours of time watching this movie ain't bad at all. It is a really good series, and without any further delay, let's just get right into it. So how Season 4 starts is with a massive time skip from Season 3. Callum is now a mage, his little brother is the king, they've all aged up, and Rayla has gone for like the past 5 years. It's Callum's birthday, they throw him a massive party, throw him a cake, and he has a cube and a mirror, and for whatever reason, his little brother is wanting to team up with the dragons, talk to the dragons, create peace with the dragons, and obviously get Zim, get back in touch with Zim, who is the baby dragon who is now also aged up. And they go on a massive quest because they find out that the staff has been stolen. A magical staff has been robbed because, oh, guess what? The dad isn't dead, the evil wizard isn't dead, his daughter brought him back to life, and she has a new boyfriend, which is a woodland elf who can use basically nature magic, and they're growing a cocoon. I don't know, the bug that was crawling around in his face, crawling around his neck, in his ear, is basically cocooned, and they are doing a spell to open that shit up, and it is a weird humanoid moth butterfly hybrid type thing, and they're basically trying to find out where Aravos is sort of being kept, because Aravos is the big bad. Obviously it's the Dragon Prince Mystery of Aravos now, and he is like a star fallen elf or a stardust elf, and he's trapped in a special prison, and they're gonna try and find the map. So everyone finds out, hey, we need to go find this map. They go to a dungeon, and they go through the dungeon, basically doing all these different trials. They get to the dragon at the end, they befriend the dragon, and then Claudia shows up and makes the dragon fall asleep. They steal the map from its tooth, and then the dragon wakes up pretty pissed and starts destroying everything. Rayla chases after Claudia, leaving Callum, his brother, and the king's guard to try and escape all on their own. They struggle, but they manage it, and Zim's mother shows up to save the day, and that's pretty much where the season ends, with them all sort of living happily ever after. So it's a pretty short story. There isn't too much about. They spend majority of this season building up like everything that we've missed over the time skip, so it feels kind of boring and like the start of a new series, because it is doing the same as what Season 1 did, where it's getting us familiar with the characters again, getting us back into it, but this time it's sort of explaining where they've been for so long, explaining how far in time we've gone, what their motives are, how much they've aged, how much they've developed, especially with Rayla and Callum having this sort of feud throughout the season because they haven't seen each other in so long. Rayla just upped and left, and Callum was a little bit upset by that. So it is a little bit of tension between them, and it gets explained a little bit, but not all in a huge amount of detail, but they forgive each other pretty quickly. Again, this grudge is not held for very long, it's not a huge plot point. A recurring joke is the baker dude, the baker guy, is making like everyday items like chocolate cake, chocolate donuts, normal donuts, and he's calling it super random weird names. I don't know why. And there is like a sort of side plot with Callum's auntie, I think, which is like the one which speaks in sign language, and she is sort of helping like fire elves rebuild their home and rebuild their kingdom, and she is in love with the queen, and they're basically just rebuilding and stopping like the humans and elves arguing and just trying to make peace of it all and rebuild the fire elf civilization. It's quite a boring side story, not a lot really happens with it, it's just kind of filler for the first season. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of boring, and I did kind of switch off for most of that section. I do like the knight, and I do like her sign language. I think she's an absolute badass. I think she's an absolute unit, but I didn't like her scenes in this one. I thought she was an absolute beast in the first 3 seasons. She was an absolute legend, but in season 4 they kind of like watered her down. She wasn't as much as a badass, and she was sort of more focused on like the relationship that she was building with this fire elf, which I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done that. I'm just saying that it was boring and it was very slow, and it was dragged on so fucking much. I feel like it could have been like done a lot quicker. Maybe if we just had one episode to focus on like their story. Maybe could have been a little bit better. I don't know, I feel like if we just had like one episode in their story, it could have been over and done with, and we wouldn't have had to like keep flashing back from Callum to them, because it was so jarring and so boring to have to keep swapping back. The animation style didn't really change much. It's more of the character designs. Obviously everyone's a little bit taller, everyone has a new style. Callum's hair is like spiked to one side. His little brother has like a man bun. Rayla has a lot more armor on and like a cloak, and Zim is a little bigger. Everyone else is pretty much the same. No one else really changed, except the King's Guard. He got a beard and a little bit of a quiff as well. But there isn't much else. I felt like the story was kind of lackluster, and there was a lot of references to Avatar: The Last Airbender in this one, with Aang's sort of glider, a sort of Sokka's boomerang, a Fire Nation like helmet. There was also references to Appa Yip Yip, because Callum said Yip Yip to try and get an animal to fly, and there was just a lot of Avatar references in this one. I feel like this was the season where there were so many Avatar references. I thought it was cool, and I thought it was really interesting, because it was like, holy shit, there's Avatar here, and maybe these two worlds are linked, but I don't know, it kind of felt a little bit over the top when they were showing a load of Avatar stuff, especially with Aang's glider, Sokka's boomerang, and the helmet. It kind of felt a little bit too much. I felt like the old reference to Avatar, where it was like boomerang, was really interesting and really cool as like a one-off, but now they're just doing it more and more. It kind of gets boring, kind of gets old, and it was interesting. Did get a wow factor out of me, but I don't know if they can keep getting away with it. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if they can keep getting away with it. The story, again, it felt kind of basic and lackluster, with them setting up everyone's characters again, setting up this new story for this new villain, and sort of continuing on, like, not exactly from where they left off. They do pick up a couple of plot points, but overall it is a new story with a new set of like villains to go up against, and this season was just a setup season. I feel like it did do a good job in setting up the characters, the fights, the spells, and the world building is really interesting, because it does expand on what has already been built up in the first 3 seasons, and it gives us a little bit more context and a little bit more information on the other types of magic, the other types of elves, and it is really interesting because it does set up like the power scaling system, but it is still very boring, and I did still play on my phone, and I did zone out for half of it, and yeah, I didn't really enjoy this season, I'm going to be honest. It felt like I was starting the show over again, and it felt like I was starting from scratch again. It didn't feel like a continuation. It felt more of like a remake or like a reimagining of The Dragon Prince. So for that aspect, I am going to have to give it like a 4 out of 10. I don't think Season 4 was that solid of a season. It definitely had its flaws, it definitely had its imperfections, and I probably wouldn't watch it again. I'm not someone that normally rewatches stuff like over and over and over again, but this is something that I would just never watch again. This is like a one-time watch for me, just because of like how long it is to watch and how slow this season actually went. for when season 7 does inevitably come out, I'm not going to rewatch the series to it, like, in anticipation for it. I never do that. It's like a one and done. And this is one of those things. It's like a one and done. I probably, if this was season 1, I probably wouldn't have kept up with it, but because I've put a lot of time and effort into the first 3 seasons, I'm going to continue and see this thing to the end. But if this was season 1, I probably wouldn't be as hyped, excited about season 2, 3, 4, and it would have been very, very low on my watch list. But that being said, I have prepared to watch season 5 tomorrow, so I am hoping that it does get a little bit better and it does get a little bit more interesting as the story does develop and as time goes on. Other than that, I don't really have much else to say about this, so if you do want me to watch any other movies, TV shows, or animes, please do leave them down in the comments below and I'll get to them as soon as possible. And if you do want a little bit more Tyler Price in your life, you can subscribe to the channel, press the notification bell. Subscribing is free and 98% of you are not subscribed but are recurring viewers, so you obviously like my content, but you just haven't subscribed yet. Again, it is free and you can always change your mind later and unsubscribe if you do decide you don't actually like me. And if you do press the link in the description, you can see everything else that I have to offer as a content creator, from my Instagram, to my TikTok, to my Twitch, to my Facebook, Snapchat, Cameo, Reddit, Discord, everything like that. It's all there ready for you to go and look at. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this YouTube video. I'll see you all next one. I hope you all have an excellent day, and goodbye. Stay home and stay safe.